Honourable Member for Labre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I begin my contribution to this substantive bill here tonight, and I know the night is still young, allow me to congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, on your appointment as Speaker of this House, and to extend those congratulations to Member for Princestown on being the Deputy Speaker as well. And allow me as well, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate the Honourable Member for Superior on once again creating history and blazing her trail in her own indelible way on once again becoming the only female elected Prime Minister for a second time in history. And of course, Mr. Speaker, allow me to say thank you to the people of Trinidad and Tobago for rejecting what we just heard and for overwhelmingly supporting this government and bringing us into power. It will indeed be remiss of me if I do not say a special and a heartfelt thank you to the people of Labre and Point Fortin for ensuring that for the first time in a long time, they actually have representation in Labre and in Point Fortin. Mr. Speaker, I believe that by the time I take my seat, I would have already contributed more than the former member of Labre did in the last 5 years. Yes. Let me also say thank you to the member for Faizabad and the Minister of Finance for piloting this bill, Mr. Speaker, and for his powerful and eloquent delivery as he piloted this bill, and for giving me this opportunity to make this contribution here tonight. Mr. Speaker, for me, this contribution is more than just an opportunity to lend my voice to a debate. You see, Mr. Speaker, for me it goes deeper than that. It is no secret that I was once a trade union leader of a great union in this country. And as a leader of that great union, I would have joined my comrades of the Public Service Association in rejecting and protesting against this TTRA Act. And while we would have protested, Mr. Speaker, we sang a song, and that song was when those who labor hold the reins of power. I would like to be in that number. And Mr. Speaker, today I am in that number. And Mr. Speaker, unless the population is fooled and believes otherwise, the member for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, is no comrade of mine. Yes. He called me comrade earlier on. Earlier on he called me comrade. But you see, Mr. Speaker, a comrade does not do what they did to the labor movement for the last 10 years. That can never be a comrade, Mr. Speaker. So he's no comrade of mine. And certainly, Mr. Speaker, some may even say that what would have transpired with the labor movement, and especially with me, that my entry into the politics and into this house is poetic justice.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to speak to the lawyers in the House, there's a saying that justice must not only be done, it must seem to be done. And today the public could see justice is done. Mr. Speaker, lending my voice here tonight to this debate signals to this country that there are two very important elements that this government holds dear and takes seriously. Earlier on, we debated the Children Life On Act, which signaled clearly that children means the world to us in government. And now we are debating the repeal of the Trinidad Revenue Authority Act, which signals clearly that this government cares about labor more than any other government in this country. Gone are the days, Mr. Speaker, when workers and trade unions in this country will be treated with disdain, with contempt, with disrespect by an evil, wicked, arrogant, vindictive PNM administration. Gone are those days, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend my comrades from the PSA who have stuck it out and is still here with us in the public gallery. And they have fought long and hard. And again, in the labor movement, we sing, help will come when help is needed. Comrades, help is here. Mr. Speaker, this TTRA, as posited by the previous administration, was yet another attempt in the agenda to destabilize the trade union movement and to get rid of workers and decent paying jobs in this country. It was a way of attacking the PSA and to undermine the right to free and fair collective bargaining of workers employed at the BIR and at Customs and Excise.
Yes, sir.
Once you remove workers, Mr. Speaker, from a position of collective bargaining, and you transfer them to contracted positions with no security of tenure, then in effect what you'll be doing, Mr. Speaker, was moving workers from collective bargaining to collective begging.
Yes. Yeah.
That is what they were intended to do. With the previous administration's decision to form the TTRA, what would have transpired with the creation of this authority would have been nothing more than a party group, since the political directorate would have staffed and stuffed the TTRA with party loyalists, other sympathetic party hacks of the previous administration, and I dare say even the previous Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, this TTRA Act that we seek to repeal here tonight was always going to be inimical to the best interests of the members of the PSA, of the workers of the Revenue Authority, the BIR, and Customs and Excise. Just imagine, Mr. Speaker, that the board that they proposed for the TTRA was a 9-member board, and all 9 appointed by the Minister of Finance. And that Minister of Finance will stipulate the terms and conditions of the appointment. And since the Minister of Finance will be appointing the board, it is possible and or likely that the appointment of board members will be politically aligned to the ruling government. And of course, you expect anybody else to put somebody who they don't trust. That's what they had proposed, Mr. Speaker. But thank God for April 28th that we have seen the light and we have gotten relief from that. And you know what would have then happened was that the board may employ any person on terms and conditions as it deems fit, opening up the entire TTRA now to political cronyism and influence, which is a regular complaint in the public domain. So imagine right now, they complain about it, and there is a union, and there is a service commission. If you abandon the process that gets workers through the service commission, Mr. Speaker, you can just imagine what can happen. And Mr. Speaker, I'm not speaking about a pie in the sky hypothetical situation, you know. No, I'm not speaking about that. There's enough evidence to tell us what would have happened. Permit me, Mr. Speaker, to bring to your attention, and this House attention, a newspaper article dated the 5th of October 2022, headline, Judge upholds ex-BIR Commissioner's lawsuit against Imbut. The article goes on to state, Mr. Speaker, a former assistant commissioner of the BIR has emerged victorious in her legal battle against Finance Minister Colm Imbe over being treated unfairly in her bid to be appointed chairman of the organization. Mr. Speaker, this is not TTRA, no. This is BIR. I'm not yet talking about TTRA, I'm talking about what happened in BIR, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
So if this is what we're going to BIR, let me finish the article, Mr. Speaker. Delivering judgment on Tuesday, High Court Judge Margaret Mohammed upheld Rohini Ramkissoon's judicial review lawsuit against Imbut. Mohammed ruled that Imbut's decision not to recommend Ramkissoon, who held the post as acting commissioner for the position, was unlawful and quashed it. According to the evidence in the case, the legal dispute began shortly before former BIR chairman Ravi Taklal Singh proceeded on pre-retirement leave in January 2021. The finance minister's permanent secretary wrote a memo to the director of personal admin seeking approval for a then acting assistant commissioner to be appointed to the post. Aggrieved by the decision, as her colleague had less experience than her and her fellow 3 commissioners, Ramkissoon's lawyers wrote to President Paula May Weeks questioning the proposed appointment. After the President's office indicated she had not made the appointment, the permanent secretary indicated that the memorandum would be rescinded. In February last year, Ramkissoon was called to a meeting with the permanent secretary and Imbut, in which she was told that the meeting that is, was an interview for the position.
What?
During the meeting, Imbut allegedly questioned her about an investigation being conducted by the Division's Criminal Tax Investigation Unit into value-added tax refunds to 2 taxpayers.
What?
Ramki soon admitted she was aware of the investigation, but denied any wrongdoing,
No, man, that's not nefarious.
as she indicated that no allegations were levied against her. The following month, Ramki soon was informed she could not be recommended for the post based on investigation.
What?
In deciding the case, and Mr. Speaker, this is the part I want us to pay special attention to. In deciding the case, the judge ruled that Imbert
Special agent.
did not act fairly, as he only asked Ramki soon if she was aware of the investigation. She was not told that she was a person of interest or informed of the specific allegations against her, which caused the defendant to be concerned, Mohammed said. She was not allowed to address the defendant's concern for denying her the position and therefore not treated fairly and denied natural justice. You know, Mr. Speaker, I wish I had finished the article. Mohammed also ruled that Imbert acted irrationally in handling of the interview.
That's the working. That's it.
In my opinion, there was no evidence that the defendant considered that the persons who were involved in the approval of the payment of the tax refunds were persons other than the claimant, and that the CTIU was still conducting inquiries where it did not name the claimant as a person of interest, she said. Mohammed rejected claims from Imbert's legal team that Ramki Soon's case was academic, as she could not be reconsidered
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
for the position because
Point of
she
order.
reacted.
Standing Order 49. The member obviously does not know is new. That matter is under appeal. It is therefore sub judice. It is sub judice, Mr. Speaker. It's under appeal. And I stand by what I say. It's under appeal.
Mr. Speaker,
the sub judice rule has always, throughout this swath of law on sub judice, it is not a hard and fast rule. Even these standing orders recognize that. Even the common law on pretrial publicity recognizes that sub judice is not really a hard and fast rule. So if we go through the standing order, member, it says, subject always to the discretion of the Speaker, to the right of the House to legislate on it. We could skip over that. Any matter relates to active proceedings until the matter is ended by judgment or discontinuous. So there is a judgment. You would be entitled to come thereafter and to seek the leave to clarify it if there is an appeal. You may do so with my leave. Thank you. Continue.
Mr. Speaker,
Rational as usual.
I want to advise the member for Diego Martin Northeast to not obfuscate my novelty in this parliament for my ability to properly deliver a licking on it.
Shakespearean. This is a trade unionist.
Mr. Speaker, I will err on the side of caution. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll continue reading.
There has been some contribution from the floor that the appeal was dismissed. Have you been able to confirm whether the appeal is alive and active?
As far as I'm aware, it's alive.
Sorry?
Mr. Speaker, Is it the appeal, the Ministry of Finance and Ronnie Ramkisoon? Right, it was dismissed on the 24th of February 2025.
Yes,
No, hold on. Hang on. For future consideration, I will ask members when invoking the sub judice rule to pay particular attention to 49(1)(c). The member does not in his comments create a real and substantial danger to prejudice to the fair determination of a matter. So it's a compendium of considerations. So I'll ask members to pay particular attention and not simply invoke the rule for invoking the rule's sake. It is not a hard and fast rule, first of all, and secondly, the factors which are outlined in the standing order is a compendium of factors. So, member, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in as much as I was in full flight and shut down, could I just request that I get back my injury time, please? At the appropriate time, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was at the paragraph that said, Mr. Speaker, in my opinion, there was no evidence that the defendant considered that the persons who were involved in the approval of the payment of tax refunds were persons other than the claimant, and that the CTIU was still conducting inquiries where it did not name the claimant as a person of interest, she said. Mohammed rejected claims from Imbert's legal team that Ramkisoon's case was academic, as she could not be reconsidered for the position because she retired with the case still ongoing. Saying the ministry used the wrong appointment procedure initially, the judge suggested that the judgment would assist Imbert when he has to make similar appointment recommendations in the future and will serve as a deterrent to avoid another misstep. In the absence of any legislative procedure to guide the defendant, it is important that he understands that he has a duty to exercise his discretion lawfully, comply with the principles of natural justice, and to act reasonably and rationally when making his decision. Those are not my words, those are the words of the judge in the case speaking about the former Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, so when there's a complaint that based on the structure and the wording and the shape and form of the act, that the minister has too much power, you could just imagine if the UNC did not win, what would have happened to all of those workers in BIR and customs?
Yes. Only imagine.
Mr. Speaker, within the BIR and the Customs and Excise Division, there are certain specified jobs that does not exist anywhere else in the public service. So for the other side to say that they had options to stay, to move, to go somewhere else, really and truly, Mr. Speaker, they really had no options, It's take it or leave it or do or die,
Disingenuous.
They are very limited of few equivalent jobs in the wider public service for particular categories. I can name a few, Mr. Speaker. Revenue plan officers, revenue training officers, revenue officers, valuation and rating officers, tax officers, and I could go on. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, these specialized workers, they would have pursued additional training and studies in order to attain their jobs. And these skill sets will not be easily transferable into other areas and other departments. So then what do you do with them? Well, I know what they were going to do to them because I know what they did to me.
Yes.
What they were going to do to those workers, Mr. Speaker, is nothing different to what they did to the workers in Petrotrin and TSCT.
Yes.
Send them home. Mr. Speaker, when they move workers from a permanent job to a contract job, what that does to the worker is that that worker is unable to access loans, whether it's loans to buy a house or to buy a car. They're unable to live comfortably from month to month because they're wondering, after the end of this contract, what's going to happen to me? Will it be renewed? Will I be sent home as they did with others? And therefore, because workers have no security of tenure, it is difficult for any worker on contract to have a decent standard of living. But maybe that was the plan. I hope not. And of course, the Prime Minister would have told us earlier on about the prevalence of contract work in the public service. Hundreds of millions of dollars spent on short-term contract and people on short-term contract. Hundreds of millions of dollars. And I want to address something Diego Martin Ortiz, member for Diego Martin Ortiz, said in his contribution. He made reference to the Civil Aviation Authority Act, the Postal Corporation Act, and said the same thing they do there, we do it over here. But it was not the same thing, Mr. Speaker. It was not the same thing. What's different? I'll tell you what's different. What's different is that within the civil aviation and even the Postal Corporation and even some of the RHAs, Mr. Speaker, the unions that represented the workers before the authority was created was transferred into the new authority. That is what is different. So there was no need for the PSA to go back and ask again for recognition for civil aviation.
Yes.
There was no need for NUGFW to go back and ask for recognition within the RHA. It just transferred. With that side, Mr. Speaker, what was going to happen is that
Extra 15 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, could I get my injury time plus the additional time, please?
You can get your 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Take your time.
Yes. With the Revenue Authority that they were going to create, Mr. Speaker, the PSA was going to be left outside in the lurch, in the rain, in the dark, and the workers would have been inside there on their own, by themselves, and at the whims and fancies of the political directorate. That's what was going to happen. Special investigator.
Officer skin.
And of course, the member for Diego Martin Ortiz made a statement that they'll be transferred on terms no less favorable than what they enjoyed in the public service. But, Mr. Speaker, that cannot be upheld, since the officer, upon transferring to the TTRA, will no longer be beneficiary of a collective bargaining agency and will no longer be afforded the protection of a union. So it can't be the same terms and conditions.
Violating the constitutional rights, constitutional rights.
Because what happened with the revenue, with the Civil Aviation Authority and with the Postal Corporation Act was that the union came across and terms and conditions continued. That is not the same thing that they proposed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the same salary that they're proposing for the workers of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority, the same infrastructure that they're putting into the Revenue Authority, the same resources that they're expending into the Revenue Authority, the same training and developmental program that they're executing in the Revenue Authority. If you put that same resource, that same effort, that same program, that same effort into BIR and customs, there'll be no need for a Revenue Authority, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this Revenue Authority was always intended to deplete the staff and to attack and target the PSA, as they did with the OWTU, as they did with the CW, and all the other unions. They were going to attack workers, send workers home again. 500 went home in TSTT. I passed in the first 500. Our next 450 went home in that happened in 2018. Our next 450 went home in 2022 in TSTT. 5,000 went home, all went home in Petrotrin. Everybody in Caroni Green got fired. Everybody in Government Human Resource Services get fired. Everybody in TDC get fired. Revenue Authority would have been no different, Mr. Speaker. And then I saw recently on social media a hotline created by that side to call and report political victimization if you lose the job.
Job loss.
Mr. Speaker, how much more hypocritical can a party get when they do that? Where was the hotline for me when they threw me out at TSTT? Where was the hotline for GHRSL workers? Where was the hotline for Caroni Green workers? Where was the hotline for Petrosian workers? Where was the hotline for Chulma workers? Where was the hotline for Rohini?
Yes, yes.
And they have the gall, Mr. Speaker. They have the gall to post it as if they care. But they only care because you see, Mr. Speaker, when I was small, if it's one thing to get me in shape, it's a good looking, They only care because they got a good looking, Mr. Speaker. That's the only reason why they care. They did not care before. They were arrogant, dismissive, contemptuous, vindictive, hateful, spiteful against us. And that That has not changed. Mr. Speaker, I hold no brief for the former member for Diego Martin West. None. But all of a sudden, it seems as if it's only him alone was culpable and all of damn hands clean.
No.
But you see, Mr. Speaker, with the TTRA and with every firing of every worker in this country, every one of them on that side is culpable for what happened to us. Every one, not one shall escape unscathed. All. Mr. Speaker, I heard a statement made earlier on by Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West. Mr. Speaker, Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West made a statement and said, law must never be made on the basis of an existing individual. All okay? But workers must never be sent home or fired on the basis of an existing individual. And Mr. Speaker, before I take my seat,
Take your time, comrade. Take your time, comrade.
the member for Diego Martin Northeast, when he stood up for his contribution, the first thing he said was he highlighted the deficit budgets of the UNC government between 2010 and 2015. Mr. Speaker, the highest the budget reached in the deficit between 2010 and 2015 was minus 7.3% of GDP. That was the highest it reached between 2010 and 2015. Mr. Speaker, between 2016 and 20, I'll stop at 21. 2016, minus 9.84% of GDP. 2017, minus 10.45% of GDP. 2018, minus 5.89% of GDP. 2019, minus 3.7% of GDP. 2020, minus 10.45, the highest, but it was COVID, the highest it has ever been. 2021, minus 8.38%.
No,
And have the temerity, Mr. Speaker, to come in this parliament to tell us that we run a deficit budget from 2010 to 2015 when he knew was that way? And Mr. Speaker, to send home and drive home the contempt that they still have for workers. They still have it. Let me tell you what I say so, Mr. Speaker. Member for Diego Martin Northeast said, well, you want to close it down? You want to repeal it? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. Go ahead.
You will get any money from. But you see, you make promises. You make promises.
Yeah.
Those are his words, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, it's on there.
Mr. Speaker, in response to him, St. Anne's East, Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, pointed to the gallery and said, look them sit down there, look them sit down there.
Yes.
As if the people who sitting in the public gallery do not have
matter.
any family, any life, and they do not matter. But Mr. Speaker, you see on the 29th of April, this country felt a sense of relief and hope it has never felt before. And even though, Mr. Speaker, we have been left with an empty treasury, even though we have been left with a country that has run away on crime, even though we have been left with a country that needs fixing badly, Mr. Speaker, tonight we give you the assurance that we will fix it and it will be better. I call on my trade union comrades and colleagues tonight, Mr. Speaker, for two things. One, to just exercise a little more patience with us because we know come. And two, to work together with this government to increase the productivity and the livelihood of the people of this country. Rest assured, Mr. Speaker, rest assured, we will not treat workers with the contempt, disrespect, scorn, hate, evil, wickedness, vindictiveness that they have been accustomed to for the last 10 years. That is not going to happen with this government. And Mr. Speaker, tonight, I am more than honored. I am more than privileged. I am emotionally moved to be part of this debate to repeal this Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Act 2021. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I now call on the Leader of the House.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 126, and with your leave, there has been agreement to allow the Honourable Prime Minister to speak until the conclusion of her statement.
Honourable members, I am informed that there has been agreement between the Leader of the House and the Chief Whip to allow the Prime Minister to speak until the conclusion of her statement.
Thank you.
Madam Prime Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, earlier in this sitting, the Honourable Minister of Finance, pursuant to Section 25(3) of the Exchequer and Audit Act, laid the report of the Auditor General on the public accounts of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for fiscal 2024. I would like to address some of the issues arising out of this report, Mr. Speaker. Report of the Auditor General, Public Accounts, and Financial Year 2024. Mr. Speaker, I've been authorized by Cabinet to make this statement, and what I'm about to disclose today will trigger perhaps in some minds, some hearts, vexation, some disbelief, some outrage in right-thinking citizens. The member for Diego Martin Northeast's very public disagreement with the Auditor General caused widespread disgust in the national community. And in the midst of the ensuing legal drama involving no less than the Privy Council itself, we saw and we moved to ask, as did the Law Lord in the Privy Council, why it was that the Finance Minister then was not being investigated for his conduct. The conduct of this one individual whose legendary arrogance underscored a decade-long ego trip as our country's finance minister has left us with some reputational damage to our public finance management. As a result, Mr. Speaker, we have been unable to resolve the national accounts for 2 consecutive years, a very embarrassing state of affairs for any nation.